Bills still have a division to win, right, guys? And they go into their matchup with the Jets as massive 16-point favorites. Now, the Jets hung with the Bucs last week. So is 16 points too high, Pierce?
Yeah, it's a tad bit too high. If you look at the last 20 years and you look at double-digit favorites playing in January, a regular season game against a losing team, it's only 9-8 in covering the spread. That's double digits. That's 10, 11, 12. This is a really big number. There's a lot of different circumstances to this being the last week of the season. The Bills have been good as double-digit favorites, 4-2-2 over the last 3 seasons, 3-1-2 at home. But it's just, this is a different week. This last week of the season, the Bills don't need to push for full 4 quarters. And I would imagine that the Jets are going to get that backdoor cover late in this game. I think it's too high.
Alan, what do we think?
A little too high. This is a massive line, but the Bills do need to win for seeding purposes. And so it does feel about right. I would take the points here, but I don't feel strongly about it. Zach Wilson's been good enough the last couple of weeks to halt the bust certainty label. The Jets beat the Titans. They beat Cincinnati early in the season, and they had the Bucs on the ropes before Tom Brady threw a haymaker on that 90-plus yard drive. The Jets are a bad team, but they're not a complete doormat like the Jaguars.
All right, guys. 2 very low totals in 2 games that don't expect to see much offense with backup quarterbacks. 37.5 is the total for Washington and the Giants, as well as for the Bengals-Browns game without Mayfield and Burrow. So I have a feeling, though, that Pierce thinks they're both still too high. Am I right, Pierce?
That's not the truth. I think that they are actually too low. I looked into the trends, being that this is a unique week, being the last week of the season, the last 20 years. You look at teams with an over-under of 40, it's 34-18 to the over. So these games with very low spreads typically go over. The last 10 years, it's 8-4. It's followed that trend. Another unique trend over the last 20 years, when you have a low point total in the AFC North, the money line, the favorite is 1-7. So I think you might want to give a hard look to the Bengals at plus 195 in this game.
All right, what do we think, Geoff? 37.5.
I mean, I admit, I do like that Bengals call. And look, Brandon Allen is starting. We know he can spin it a little bit. Put up like 10 yards per completion, well over 300 yards last year against the Texans. I like the over in that game a lot, actually, 37.5. Case Keenum might be an upgrade over Baker Mayfield. I mean, that's not even hyperbole. Baker was playing injured, and I'm not even sure if he's good anyways. So I think that the quarterbacks in that game will be fine. It's the New York Giants-Washington game. You're going to want to fade. That's fine. Take the under there. Jake Fromm, 6 for 17, 25 yards passing, and a 19.5 passer rating in his start this year. That game is going like 20-3, and you can mark me down because that's probably going to be the end score. That game is one you're going to want to fade. The AFC North matchup, I do think there'll be some points. I think it could get a little crazy, and I do like the Bengals money line is there, but take the over in the Bengals one. I think the point total there is just, it's too low.
Alan, 37.5. How do we feel?
I think Geoff just called Jake Fromm like a poor man's Nathan Peterman there or something like that.
Yes.
If the Giants can complete a forward pass in this game, maybe they'd have a chance to get the number, but the betting market is likely to see it the same way. I'd anticipate the number creeps down a little bit for anyone even paying attention to this game on Sunday. The contrarian in me wants to play the over now that Barkley finally got over 100 yards last week, but this is a moment in time as a Jet fans, and there aren't many that the Jets have more hope than the Giants. As far as the Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield are out, my colleague Chris Liss over at Rotowire pointed out that one is not like the other. Burrow missing the game is a massive downgrade, while Geoff and Pierce pointed out that Mayfield to Keenum is not even that much of a difference. The under is safe, assuming the Bengal key pass catchers are limited to.
All right, guys, not quite the drama of a win in your in-game like Chargers and Raiders, but the Ravens and Steelers are still technically alive. Geoff, you said yesterday you were surprised that they were underdogs in this one. So is this spread of 5 points for the Ravens way too high for you?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily surprised that they're not the favorites, but just surprised that the spread is this big. I mean, I just don't know what the Baltimore Ravens have shown us over the last 5 games to warrant being -5 favorites in any situation. I mean, this is a team who we all knew was riding the right side of variance in these close end-of-game situations at the start of the year, and now it's cratered, and they're still getting respect for some reason. Like the Steelers, I get it. I mean, I get that Ben Roethlisberger averages like 3 yards per pass attempt, but their defense is really good. TJ Watt is chasing the sack record here. Lamar Jackson, if he starts, is not going to be 100%, and the Ravens secondary is terrible. Deontay Johnson might catch 20 balls for like 100 yards in this game. And yeah, the volume won't be there, but he'll move the sticks. I think Pittsburgh at +5 is a fantastic bet this week. They have more to play for. And quite frankly, they're the healthier, better team. So yeah, give me Pittsburgh here. I really like this bet.
All right, Alan, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, the line is obviously too high, so the Ravens must be the sharp side. Vegas is begging you to take the Steelers. I don't mind being Joe Public or a square and taking the points in this game. This is a good bet to be a field goal game at best. I see these teams as about equals. Just give me the Steelers, give me the points. Let's bank some money.
All right, Pierce, talk to me.
Can I get the breaking news music?
Oh, dun, 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 dun.
So according to the DK Live account, Deontay Johnson just went on the COVID-19 list. That shakes things up a little bit. That's a pretty significant blow for the Steelers. And other than that, I'm right with Geoff. This pass rush for the Steelers played great last week. 9 sacks on Mayfield, 33% pressure rate. Had a very similar pressure rate last time they faced the Ravens. Ravens 27th in adjusted sack rate, so that offensive line struggled all season. We know that their pass defense is probably one of the few pass defenses that Roethlisberger can get around. He understands the scheme. He matches up well against the scheme. And then on top of that, the Ravens are just missing everybody in their defense. And Roethlisberger had his second best quarterback rating of the season against them in that Week 11 matchup with a 111. It's going to hurt not having Deontay Johnson. He had 15 targets on Monday. And I don't know really what they're going to do. Maybe with the new rules, he'll be back. I don't know. You got to keep your eye on that. But ignoring that, I do like the Steelers to cover.
Pretty deep receiving core. I mean, James Washington, Ray McLeod, Chase Claypool, if he's not dancing. I mean, I think the line will probably move to 6 now, so you might just want to wait on it, but I still like Pittsburgh too.
All right, guys, a few player props are up for the game of the week. Chargers at Raiders. Both teams rank in the bottom 10 of rush defenses in the league. Josh Jacobs' rush yards prop is 53.5. Austin Eckler's 56.5. Too high or too low for these running backs, Alan?
This is a good number for Austin Eckler. Eckler makes his money with the receiving yardage. That's how he gets his totals. But the question as to whether he smashes his total is how much they deploy Justin Jackson. Last week, the touch split was 17-12 in favor of Eckler. The Jags beat the Colts. Unthinkable 40 kneel down game. If we have that, then of course it's going to go under. We talked about that when the cameras are off. But assuming that they play, this is a quasi win now spot. Eckler is the trusted hand and should get the larger workload, and he's seen all season. So I like over there. Josh Jacobs has come alive. They hand him the ball. This is the type of weather that this is going to be an ugly game. The Raiders are going to try to run. I like the over on both of these props.
All right, Pierce, how do we feel?
The number's too high for Eckler. He's only gone over 60 yards 10 times this season. As Alan mentioned, he's more of a receiving back, and that's kind of the better opportunity here against the Raiders, who not necessarily terrible against receiving running back, but they're definitely below average and have had a top 10 run defense. So I don't think it's really going to be an easy matchup for Eckler. And then one of the things, and his average is 56 yards. So the number's kind of right on. I still think it's going to be a little too high. Corey Linsley, who is the free agent center that they brought in the offseason, he's kind of like a genius center. He anchors that offensive line. He turned them into from one of the worst offensive lines to average to below average, or well, above average. And he might be out for this game. If he is out, I think that's really going to hurt the Austin Eckler rushing totals. And so I think he'll go under.
Geoff, too high or too low?
Yeah, I mean, this line feels exactly perfect for both of these running backs. And it does kind of make me want to lean under, probably more on Eckler as well than Josh Jacobs. You look at Eckler, like he's had double-digit carries in 9 straight games, but he's also never exceeded like 14 carries or something. So, I mean, he's going to get right in there. But Pierce mentioned the O-line issues as well. And the Raiders, to their credit, have actually improved as a rush defense, like just a little bit as the season has gone on here at the end. I think this game's going to be close. I think you're going to see more passing too from both offenses than rushing, really. So I'm not looking at Eckler to all of a sudden get 18 carries here. Alan mentioned Justin Jackson. I would take the under on Eckler. I think I would be more inclined to either just not touch Jacobs altogether or maybe even take the over. He's improved as a rusher. He's gotten a little bit healthy a bit as well. And if the Raiders do get out in front here, they've actually run the ball a little bit more lately. So Jacobs is probably one I'd either fade or even think about taking the over if you like the Raiders side. I think the under on Eckler is actually a solid bet here.